Today I'm going to be talking to you about breeding Boesemani rainbows. Boesemani rainbows are one of the most popular rainbows because they're so colorful. They've got that bright orange and blue, and sometimes there's some purples in there, and they're just an absolutely gorgeous fish. Now, I'm decided to breed them because although there are Boesemani rainbows in my area, there's not a lot of really nice looking ones. A lot of the ones in my area, the colors are really muted. And so I'd like to breed them and so that I can start getting them out into my community. And hopefully I'll see some other people who'll be willing to breed them. Now, I went and got mine from a breeder out in California, and he had some absolutely gorgeous Boesemani. And so that's where I'm starting, with some absolutely gorgeous Boesemani. I did not breed this line, but I'm going to continue it and push it out into the community around. This is my first time breeding these fish, but I have done a lot of homework on how to do this. And I'm doing things, I take what I learned, but I'm also using some of the things that I do for myself and know for myself. And one of the things that I'm going to be using here is a tank that is absolutely full of algae. I'm going to be using this 20-gallon tank that is full of hair algae to breed my Boesemani or Boesemani. And this is a great place to have your fish breed, is in a tank with lots of algae, especially this hair algae. And the reason is because there's lots of room for those eggs to be able to be laid and hide, and it's going to be a great place to raise your fry once they do hatch. When you have lots of algae like this tank, that also usually means you're going to have lots of microorganisms. So a lot of infusoria and that type of thing. And so I'm hopeful that as the baby fry start to hatch, that they're able to find a lot of food that first couple days. Now, I do have some really small foods that I can feed them, but Boesemani rainbows, when they're born, they're so small you can't even feed them things like brine shrimp. Now, once they're about 3 or 4 days old, then you can start feeding them that baby brine shrimp, which is what I'm going to do. I decided to put a pair of Boesemani in my breeding tank, and I picked them out based on their color. I really have, all of my fish are healthy, but I really wanted to pick out ones that really had a lot of color to them. And so you can see, even my female has a lot of color, my male has a lot of color, and I'm going to leave these two in here, this tank, for probably about 2 to 3 weeks. When I'm trying to get my rainbows to get to that point where they're going to start breeding more often, I actually start feeding them baby brine shrimp before I want them to breed. And there's a couple reasons I do that. One, baby brine shrimp is a really healthy food for any of your fish, pretty much. It's a really good one for them. It's really going to help them get all the nutrients that they need, which is going to be important if they are breeding regularly. Two, I think it does help the parents to notice, because I see anytime I start feeding baby brine shrimp, I start getting lots and lots of babies in all my tanks. And I think a lot of that is because the adult fish start seeing all that baby brine shrimp, and it's almost like a trigger for them. They recognize, like, oh, hey, look, there's something for those fry to eat. Now we can start spawning and start having those baby fry. I removed the adult Boesemani just about a week ago, a little less than a week, and you can see here that there are a lot of fry already starting to hatch. And one of the great things about having this hair algae is it's a great place for them to hide and feel comfortable, and a great food source for them as well. And you can see there are a lot of little fry, and they are very, very small. Here are some other Boesemani that I have that are about 2 weeks old, and you can see pretty clearly they have grown quite a bit, and at this point easily do they accept the baby brine shrimp, and there's no problem with them eating and growing at this point. And if I do everything it's in my control to take care of these fish, they should grow up to be some absolutely gorgeous fish. Boesemani are typically ready to breed at about 6 months. And once they reach that age of breeding, then they actually breed throughout their entire lifetime. Most people can keep their Boesemani for about 5 to 8 years, but some people, if they take really good care of them, can get them to live even as long as up to 12 years. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this, make sure you go ahead and watch the next video over here.